Attaching flat surfaces to EMT conduit frames is a really common problem that people run into when they're doing their DIY projects. And today I have a really cool solution that I'm excited to share with you guys that we discovered recently. And this is just known as a medium duty clamp, nice and straightforward. This is from Prospect Fastener, which I'll put a link to in the description. They have different sizes, but this is the only one we've tested so far for using with 3/4 inch EMT conduit frames. And it's pretty straightforward and kind of similar to what we normally talk about when we talk about this kind of solution is the 1-hole and 2-hole straps, which usually snaps onto conduit. But this is cool because it wraps all the way around the EMT and cinches down on it when you secure it to your flat surface, as you can see here. And works really well and pretty strong, and you just not really rotating inside there. Just like with the 1-hole and 2-hole strap, you can eventually rotate it with enough friction, but works well for securing materials. And there's a lot of possibilities with this. You can see that I've already attached it to the board, and I just used the number 10 by 1/2 inch screws that we talked about on the channel recently. But this is just kind of the standard orientation that we see, where you might have this flipped over, and this is just like a desktop or a shelf or something, and you have it on top of the EMT. What's really cool is on this side, you can see that I kind of did it as a flush mount solution, and it worked really well. So it's just kind of flipped over and secured to the flat surface with the number 10 by 1/2 inch screw, as you can see there. And then the EMT conduit is just sitting nice and flush against the flat surface. And that's pretty cool. And we talked about doing that with 1-hole straps, and you can do a cool solution, as you can see on the screen, with where you kind of pop off the top of the frame, which is really cool. But this is a good one if you don't need that functionality and just want a good secure flush mount. So that's really cool. I also was playing around with the idea of stacking a couple of them together. As you can see here, just 2 of them stacked on top of each other. As you can see, just use some hardware that I had on hand. You probably want to get, like a shorter nut and bolt, but you could change the orientation of these, flip it the other direction and do like a crossover clamp. But this is a pretty good solution for just doing a parallel clamp between 2 pieces of 3/4 inch EMT. So a lot of cool stuff out of this simple piece of hardware. It's awesome. It's made in the USA. And like I said, there's different sizes, but we've tested this one for 3/4 inch. I'll link it down below. But hopefully you found this useful for your projects. I think it's really cool, and I can't wait to see how you guys use it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.